To the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us here today. It is February 26th, 2022. We are live here at Twin Cities News Talk AM 1130 every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Mr. Scott Wolmering of the We Team with RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and my name is Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. Also, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Appreciate you joining us here today. Have a fun show. We've got a great show, and we always welcome your questions, your comments, your thoughts throughout the entire show. Please don't hesitate to join us either on the Facebook Live itself or again on any of our social media channels. Today, we're trying something a little new. We're streaming this on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. So if you're checking us out on one of those platforms, thank you for watching us. We do podcast the show as well on Spotify. But good morning, Scott Wolmering, top of the morning to you.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your 100th time, welcome back. Like Ryan said, we're going to talk everything real estate related as it relates to the Twin Cities market, Wisconsin. We're going to talk a little bit, obviously, about what's going on over in Ukraine and the possible effects that could have on our market. And and you know what? It would be cool if somebody could actually go to Instagram and see if they can find us there. Yeah, and see if it's actually working. Because, like Ryan said, this is the first time we're doing it.
Yeah, it's the Minnesota Real Estate Team on Instagram, and we should be there. Same thing on LinkedIn as well. We're at the Minnesota Real Estate Team there. But got to welcome on. Got two special guests today. Steve De La Roseby, awesome agent, fantastic agent, great guy. Appreciate you joining us today.
I appreciate you having me.
It's going to be fun. Going to have fun. Also, Steve Grown, our newest partner. This is not your debut. We've had you on one other time, so you're a pro right now, right?
A professional. Second time through. Very excited.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. And again, we're here through 11 o'clock. And so if there's questions, you can comment, comment on social media here, or you can call us 612-294-6949 or text us at that number as well. A lot to cover. First segment, we do normally dive in with a market update. And Scott, it's an interesting market.
Yes, it is an interesting market. It is, when we get into the market update, we're obviously going to go through what our overall numbers are like and what that means, and what we can kind of forecast going into March, April, and May here. But it is interesting.
Here we go. We're going live on air. Twin Cities News Talk. Good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope your weekend is starting off well. And we are here live every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The show is hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering of the We Team with RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and I'm Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Doing something fun today too, Scott, something new. We're also streaming the show on a variety of different social media platforms as well. So if you're on Instagram, look for the Minnesota Real Estate Team, LinkedIn, the Minnesota Real Estate Team, YouTube, Facebook as well. Scott, we're getting with the times there, young man.
We are. I mean, none of it makes sense to me, but it's good that it makes sense to you and that we can be out there. So yeah, be interesting if people could check us out, make sure it's working because this is the first time we're doing it. Again, welcome to the show, everybody tuning in. It's 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Any questions that you have, anything that you'd like us to cover, you can give us a call or text us at that number, 612-294-6949, and we will definitely cover it on air. If you've not been to our website before, mnrealestateshow.com is how you can check out the teams there. And if you are looking at selling or buying, that is actually what we do for a living. Radio is just something we do for fun. So we'd love to help you out. Just check us out, mnrealestateshow.com.
Yeah, excited. We've got first segment of the show. We always like to do a little bit of a real estate update, a mortgage update. After that first segment, we're going to be diving deep with one of our newest partners on the show, Steve Grown with Standard Water, a wonderful guy, doing a lot of great work for homeowners, fellow agents here in the Twin Cities. Definitely don't want to miss his segment. And we also have Steve Della Roseby, an awesome agent with Remax Advantage Plus with the Walgrave Real Estate Group, Minnesota real estate team. Good morning to both you guys too. Thanks for being on.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Steve, good to see you there, bud.
Thank you for inviting me back. Good to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have both of you guys here. And again, 612-294-6949. Questions throughout the show. Please don't hesitate to interrupt us. Scott and Steve, we probably should dive into some of the numbers. We can get some commentary on here in the Twin Cities. New homes for sale, new listings this past week declined 12%. So there are 12% less homes that went onto the market, 1,040. Pending sales also down almost 10%, 910 less pending sales. The overall inventory of homes for sale is now down 20% year over year. This is the lowest number in the history of the Minnesota Real Estate Show, almost 20 years of doing this show, that we've ever seen. 4,371 homes, lowest inventory, again, in the history, the 20-year history of doing this show. Here's the last stat, and then you guys can comment on this. Interesting, we're going to talk about interest rates, but with interest rates also rising, and with housing prices rising, they said that some buyer sentiment is softening, with mortgage application, the purchase index, falling 7% from the same week last year.
Yeah.
Steve, deep thoughts, commentary on some of those numbers. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I'll give my 2 cents, then Steve can jump in here. But obviously we talked about on the show, if you've listened at all, balanced market in the Twin Cities is about 19,000 homes. So that is equal amount of buyers, equal amount of sellers. We're at 4,300 homes on the market. So that is, of course, the most staunch sellers market that we've ever seen in the history of the planet. Frankly, I think you'd have to go. I don't think there's ever been a better time. The other thing that's really interesting about this, I actually went through an exercise where I went through every county, and so we have 4,300 homes on the market. When you remove new construction, which is to be built, which is basically land, nothing's built on it, specs that are under construction, etc. If you remove those, we're at about 2,533 homes on the market, and that includes homes sold pending inspection. So 2,500 homes. If you remove out the pending inspection ones, which I didn't go through, but I mean, you can literally be talking about 1,600 actual homes on the market. And Steve, I'm sure you run into this with your clients where, God, I want to show homes and I can show one a week or one every 2 weeks because that's all that comes up.
Right.
Yeah. Are you seeing just difficulty for your buyers, Steve? I mean, is it just like super, super difficult?
Yeah, very, very difficult. But I would say probably the most interesting, crazy story that I've had was actually on a listing about a month ago. We did 4 hours of showings on Saturday, 4 hours of showings on Sunday, 135 showings.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
We had 90 from noon to 4 on Saturday. And come Monday at noon, we had 31 offers.
Yeah,
Wow.
And folks, that's what it is. I wrote 3 offers last Friday for 3 different groups, and one had 37 offers on it, one had 42 offers on it, and one had 26 offers on it. And so what that means is, if you're one of those buyers, it means on the house with 42, 41 of you are not going to get that house, and those are active buyers out there looking in the same price range you're in and the same style you're in. So you're going to keep running into that number over and over and over again until 41 of you can buy a house.
Did you actually get it?
I did not. And I'll tell you what, I told Ryan, this is one of the only times I actually got a little bit angry. I mean, I've been doing this long enough where I don't.
Don't get angry.
I don't normally get angry.
Don't get angry, please.
But so 10,000 non-refundable earnest money. This is on each one. 10,000 non-refundable earnest money. $10,000 over top offer, waived inspection,
No inspection.
guaranteed the appraisal. So if the appraisal came in low, we would gap it. Again, non-refundable, everything non-refundable.
And a new car.
And 10,
My firstborn.
And you get a new car.
and 10 grand over. Didn't matter what the offer was.
It was a Kia. but
Yeah. And we didn't get it. And I'm like, how?
You didn't get it.
You tear 10 grand
Over top of
whatever
offer
the next
on,
offer
on
was.
each one of those offers. And we did not get all three of
What'd
them.
the agent say to you?
Well, one, I won't get, it's a long story. One of them was newer and didn't understand that we had a contingent on financing, which of course any non-cash offer is.
Sure.
But we made the earnest money non-refundable, and she thought that since it was a contingent on financing, she apologized. So she's
maybe,
keeping us for a backup offer.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Right.
In life, Scott, sometimes we are
Sometimes
the
we have to
backup.
be a backup.
And Scott, you're now doing some anger management counseling.
Oh, I mean, I'm like, I don't understand. I said, how did they lose? I'm like, and these are buyers that are going to knock on your seller's door and say, okay, how do we lose this?
Yeah. How do we
How in
lose?
the world does $10,000 over and giving you everything except my firstborn son, which I'm thinking about throwing it. I'm thinking about throwing Aiden in. See if
Throw
I
Aiden in.
Get some deals done.
Yeah, throw it. Hey, where are interest rates? This first segment, interest rates are rising. As you know, again, if you're following the news, again, looking at if you go to the Wells Fargo's, the U.S. banks, some of the large lenders of the world, you can see conventional 30-year rates 4.25 on those, a 15-year 3.5, conventional 3% down 4.25, FHA 30-year 4.125. Steve, have you heard from any of your buyers that the rising rates are causing them to come off the sidelines a little bit?
Not yet, but I'm hopeful as an agent trying to help these buyers that it might pull some buyer activity out of the battle.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, well, and I was telling Ryan yesterday, I've got some upper bracket properties coming on, and I called and we weren't going to be going on until April, May, that kind of time frame. And I called them and said, look, guys, you know what you've got right now, and with everything going on in the Ukraine, we don't have any idea what the effect's going to be. But if interest rates do kind of go up another 0.5 point, gas costs you another $1, grocery goes up by 30%. At some point, the market's going to respond to that. And so if you're out there listening and you are one of those people, I would really encourage you to put your home on the market as soon as you can, because we don't know what the effect of this is going to be, but all indications are there's going to be an effect.
Yeah, again, we're talking all things real estate, mortgage, the market, a lot going on in our world right now. We're already up against the first break, and you're welcome again to join us anytime, 612-294-6949. Or if you want to see what Scott Wollmering looks like in person, check out LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. We are live here right now until 11 a.m. We'll be back after the break. I appreciate so many folks joining us, and it should be a fun show here until 11 o'clock. And Steve, from a buyer perspective, what kind of price ranges are you working with folks right now?
I think most of my activity right now is in the 400 or less.
Yeah.
So definitely right in the front lines of the battle.
Yeah, that definitely is.
And winning some multiple offer situations.
Yes, I've had some success, not as much as I'd like. a lot more miles and a lot more offers, but where I did have recent success was that backup offer, where we didn't get the deal initially, and they came back around a couple weeks later and said, "This one fell through. Are you still interested?" And
those are nice.
It behooves you to keep a grin on and not get frustrated in those deals where you don't get it, because you never know where it might come back around.
Yeah.
And I was sweet, me.
Yeah, you're very sweet.
I was very sweet.
Very
I
thoughtful.
just was really curious what possibly could beat them. But
yeah, I had looks like a comment came in from Amber saying, "Do I have to make earnest money non-refundable in every offer that I make in this market? Do I have to make earnest money non-refundable?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, in a situation
Right.
in a situation where you're the only buyer, of course not. You can ask for a home inspection. You can ask for just a normal transaction.
Right.
But if there's 10, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20 offers on it, 80% of people are going to waive their earnest money. And if you think about it logically, why wouldn't you waive your earnest money?
Sure.
Because you're saying I'm qualified. That doesn't mean that if something fell apart in the inspection or during the association docs 10-day period, you still get your earnest money back then. But if for some reason you just walked away, you should lose your earnest money. So to compete in this market, 99% of the time you're going to have to waive your earnest money.
Yeah, good, very good question. Again, as we're going through the show, don't hesitate to chime in if you got questions at all about the market conditions, what you need to do to be effective as a buyer or seller, to really navigate these conditions. Please don't hesitate to join us. Steve Grown, Standard Water. You do basement waterproofing, egress windows, radon mitigation. Great local company, longtime company. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me back.
What's cooking? What's cooking in your world?
Well, it is interesting. I do get phone calls from realtors pretty much every week. I took a call Tuesday night, and if I haven't worked with you and you want to work with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Steve Grown, or just call our company. But they were representing a buyer, and it was the same situation, no home inspection, all that. But they saw.
We'll continue the
let's do it
discussion on there. Here we go. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And big thanks again, Mike Dubs, K102. He comes in every weekend to help us produce the show. What a guy. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. He's working hard. We appreciate you, Mike, in your great work you do for us. Before we dive in with Steve Grown from Standard Water, did want to give just a quick note. We've got a couple featured listings, Scott. Sue Marty has one in Shoreview. This is a coming soon listing. It's going live Tuesday, March 8th, 569 Kent Court, which is in Shoreview. Again, 569 Kent Court, listed for $389,900. It is Scott, a 4-bed, 2-bath, almost 2,500 square foot home. It's on a cul-de-sac. It's got a large entryway, open concept on main level. Huge living room, informal dining room, a new AC in 2021, water softener in 2019, new carpet in the office, new roof. They are looking at a preferred closing date of April 29th for this property. Again, you can look at the photos online, really well maintained, nice looking home when you look online at this 569 Kent Court. Scott, for $389,900 for a 4-bed, 2,500 square feet. What do you think of that?
And you say
Shoreview, yeah.
Shoreview, yeah. You'll have plenty of offers on that, Sue.
Yeah.
She's a great agent too.
She is. A lot of fun. Nice listing. Check that one out. That is coming soon. We were talking to Steve Grown, Standard Water, one of our newest partners. Wonderful guy. Second time we have had him here on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. And just prior to going live here, we were chatting a little bit. What's new with you? And it sounds like a lot of stuff's going on with you and Standard.
Well, we're certainly getting busier. This last snow, little melt, phones lit up, and getting a lot of phone calls. Egress windows, radon systems, and waterproofing. Probably the most interesting thing last week relative to this show, and we work with a lot of realtors, and if any realtors are out there want to work with me, you can find me on LinkedIn or at our company, Steve Grown. But I took a call at 8 p.m., a realtor representing a buyer. It's one of those same situations, everyone's making offers, but they had a problem with the waterproofing and the wall that was bowing. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't want my buyer to buy this and get stuck with, a really bad situation. So she sent me photos. We shot her over an estimate of the range of pricing to fix. What she did after that, I don't know, but for their own edification, need those numbers to go forward.
Yeah, that's a great service that you offer. I mean, because with a lot of us having to waive home inspections, sometimes there is something like that. We were just like, oh my gosh, there's, there obviously was water coming in here. We don't know when it was that, when it was happening, and to be able to send you pictures and find out, just to get an estimate or just your thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The ability to respond and give at least a good ballpark off of photos, because timing is of the essence on every single one of these deals too. So to be able to save them the risk or the time of actually getting you in there in person, but you could actually give them a good estimate just based on photos and description and things like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is very cool. And again, as you're listening to Steve too, or if you're watching us streaming on any of the social media channels, don't hesitate to comment in with questions that are popping up. But water in the basement. Who has not had water in their basement? If you have not had water in your basement, please call our show. Seriously. Talk about a needed service. I think of my dear mother and us, I don't know, I was probably in 8th grade, and we got water in the basement. We're all down there with the shop vac and going to town, and it was like full on O'Neill assault to get that water picked up, Steve.
Yeah, that's funny. One thing that's kind of interesting is when we send our basement project managers out, and if we run 10 jobs, we only quote 8 of them. And that's because that water is many times not coming through the wall. It's a water softener. And we try to talk to customers on the phone and say, no, it's not coming from inside the home or this or that, or it could be leaking from the furnace. In the summer you have condensation with the air conditioner. So we'll go out there and we don't sell something if they don't need it. So we only quote 4 out of 5. So it's sometimes the world's not ending. Just got to get the information,
right,
and then make a decision.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. The water in the basement thing. I grew up in East Grand Forks before I moved to Bemidji, and we were there in the 1979 flood, and every single house on our street had to cave their basement and let the water come in, so that they could have it equal out the pressure, or else it would the whole house would cave in. And we were actually the only one that didn't do it and made it through. But we had 10 feet of sandbags in the back of our yard with the river right there. I mean, it was something else. Everybody's driving boats around in the streets.
Wow. Steve, the other thing too, I was thinking about not only water, but you're also involved with Radon. I mean, that's the huge, the with fellow agents, with buyers out there. What are you seeing from that standpoint with Radon, with this market? Thoughts to share about that?
Yeah, I think if you had to hit the rewind button, homes were getting tested more consistent. Well, they do get tested, but they were getting fixed more consistently, contingent for the sale. And now what we're seeing is it might be negotiating. It's taken care of after the fact. So people want a rough idea what they cost. And the typical Radon system is going to start at $1,500 and go up from there. There are a variety of angles, and you have to look at each situation to make sure that you can get it down as low as possible. So there again, if they need pricing, give us a call and we can kind of walk people through.
Seems like a lot of new builds are doing what do they call it, a passive radon system. What's the effectiveness of that? And do you agree? Do you see a lot more of that?
Yes, we are. And so a passive system is really very simple. It's a pipe that goes out the roof and connects below the cement in the basement. And the way they build the homes now, underneath the cement, there's good gravel, so it communicates airflow underneath the gravel. So when we come in, a lot of times it might be 5, 10, 15 years later, and we did 2 of these last week, we just add a fan.
Yeah.
That's all. So it's really a beautiful thing that they're required now as far as new home builds.
Yeah.
Is that all new home builds
Yes.
have to have a passive system, or is it certain regional? Because I know I've run into certain areas are a lot worse in their radon readings than others are.
That's true, and that is fed by a variety of factors. And if one home has it, a really bad radon reading or a higher reading, it doesn't mean the home next to it has that same. So many factors. You get the negative pressure of the home that brings the air in from below the cement. So if it's sealed off better or there's less pressure, there's a lot of factors. I was in a home yesterday. They had a higher reading, and if you looked at the basement, if they turned on their bath fan and their dryer vent and their water heater and then their furnace, and they didn't have a combustion air. So all that stuff is moving air from out of the basement. So where's the air come from to fill it back up? And so it's sucking the air from, around the cement, and therefore higher radon. So you have to fix those pieces. So we look at all those factors when we go into a home.
The cool thing about your company, again, you guys have been around for a very long time, and very well respected here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yes, we've been around since 1977, and I really have a good crew of guys. My top 10 most tenured employees have been with us for over 25 years.
Wow.
So I don't have to go out and check the jobs all the time and make sure things are done right. And I've got, just on the Radon, I've got 4 or 5 installers that have installed literally thousands of systems. Same thing with drain tile and egress windows. We're doing egress windows every day. That is a product that's really blown up. So we're going to start doing more than 1 or 2 a day here in about a month or so. Buy a new trailer, new truck, new equipment, new tools, all fun stuff.
Ready to go, yeah.
Ready to go.
For people that don't know what drain tile is, maybe explain that quickly, because we talk about it all the time and we're in the business and we know, but a lot of people don't even know what it is.
Sure. So in a home, the typical job will do, you have water coming into the basement from the block wall. Typically it's a block wall. And so what we will do is jackhammer the cement that's 18 inches from the basement wall, typically around the perimeter. We'll remove it, and then drain tile is like a 3-inch hard PVC pipe that is laid next to the footing. And then we fill it in with gravel, a vapor barrier. We drill holes in the block. The water comes through the wall, travels down to the bottom of the wall, hits the footer, travels over the footer, and then enters that pipe or the trough. And then from there it travels, water seeks its own level to the sump pump. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, but your home has a sump pump, odds are you have a drain tile system. And a side note too, a beautiful thing about a drain tile system is you can hook up a radon fan to that drain tile and remove a pile of humidity, not to mention radon. But that's what a drain tile system is.
When they use the sump for the radon, they got to seal the cover better than if it was just for water collection, correct?
They do. You have to make sure it's completely sealed, because again, if you're pulling air out from below the cement floor, that's where you don't want to pull it from the basement. So yeah, everything's got to be sealed.
Before we go to the break here, Steve, I want to be sure you give out best way for people to reach you and your company. Again, we're talking egress windows, radon, basement waterproofing, all very needed, important services. Best way for people to connect with you.
Standardwire.com.
Standardwater.com. That is a good URL. Good website. We're going to continue the discussion with Steve Groen, Standard Water, as well as with Steve Delarosby, awesome agent, and Mr. Wolmering too. Before the break, Scott, we're starting to we got listings coming. People want to hear about listings. How about one here? Cecilia Giron, awesome agent on the Minnesota real estate team. Remax Advantage Plus has one open house today from 1 to 3, 1817 Rainy Avenue East. 219.9 for this property. 219.9 open house today, 1 to 3, 1817 Rainy. It is it's a sun-filled home in greater east side of St. Paul, 1920s built Rambler. Lots of updates: new roof, insulation, windows, floors, kitchen, bathroom, fenced backyard with space ready for a garage. 219.9. Check that out. Cecilia will be there, open house today, 1 to 3. This is already the halfway point, and this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're zipping along already, halfway point. Appreciate you checking us out, whether, again, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Scott, you love Twitter, don't you?
I am not on Twitter. I mean, I'm on Twitter, but I wouldn't know how to tweet.
You wouldn't know. Steve, are you much of a Twitter guy?
No, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, but quite frankly, the only one that I spend any time really with is Facebook.
Right.
And Instagram makes it so easy now, because I think you can link the two together.
Right.
And your Instagram posts can automatically link back to my business page on Facebook and duplicate the post for me. it's one of those things that it's always on my list of things to improve on. But if it's something I'm not great at,
Yeah.
I tend to shy away from them and just focus on the things that keep me busy.
Right. How many years have you been in the business now, Steve?
This is my fourth.
Fourth year. And prior to real estate?
Prior to real estate, so went to college at the U of M, Twin Cities here, played football for the Gophers, got my mechanical engineering degree.
What position?
They moved me from quarterback to wide receiver, and it did not take very well.
No.
I should have gone to a smaller school where I would have actually gotten to stay at quarterback, but at least on the game film against all those northern Minnesota guys, I looked fast. So
where did you play high school ball?
Okay.
Wow. So playing for the Gophers. That's no joke.
For a couple seasons.
That's no joke. Good for you.
So mechanical engineering degree, worked as an engineer, did 10 years at Northwest Airlines, really cool job in a really volatile industry back then in the 90s.
Oh God. Volatile.
And then moved over to Thermo King. I spent my last 18 years of corporate work at Thermo King Corporation in Bloomington. While I was there, I got my MBA, moved into engineering management, and then finished off as what they call a product manager, which is essentially a mini GM. I was the mini GM for my particular products of responsibility, and just got to the point where I didn't want to do corporate work anymore.
Yeah.
And real estate was in my blood. My grandparents had their own brokerage in Cloquet. My aunt did real estate her entire career. My dad, my uncle did it for portions of their career. It was kind of something that was always there in the blood, but I didn't, it took me 28 years of career to decide to do it. And wish now I would have done it earlier.
Yeah, but still, that is that impressive background. You can tell again with that sort of kind of knowledge and pedigree, that helps your clients tremendously. I mean, that sort of, Scott was just telling a story about, a situation where, again, no offense to this particular agent, maybe didn't understand the offer, but I mean, that's one of the reasons you've been as successful as you have that's an impressive background.
Thank you. I think the mechanical engineering part actually lends well to, and then also my dad is a very handy builder, fixer, and I inherited that from him. And so I'm a very hands-on guy. I built the addition on my house myself, did all of the HVAC and electrical and everything, right? And pulled permits and got inspections. And I mean, I did it all myself.
Yeah.
But I think that helps me be able to walk into a house and understand what's working, what's not, be able to communicate to the buyers what's a big deal, what's not. So I think it does, even though it seems like it's a super big change in career, which it is, I still think it helps me in what I'm doing.
No, it's weird. I work with so many engineers as clients, and I'm literally 180 degrees completely opposite from an engineer's brain. And I have no idea, but literally I've got.
You have over the years. You have a lot of
engineer clients, which is very strange because I'm not detailed. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'm detailed when it comes to purchase agreements and numbers on the house and whatever else. So I guess maybe that they like that. But yeah,
here we go back. We'll go back live on air. Yeah, welcome back, folks. Hope the weekend is going well. The state of our world is there is a lot of unrest. My gosh, what a difficult time in so many ways. We're certainly sending nothing but love and goodwill and prayers for everybody in Ukraine and the tragedy unfolding over there. Trying to again just bring a little information, hopefully a little positive and laughter, feel good today. Just in regards to real estate, if we can feel good about it, guys, right? With the markets.
That's right. Steve and I were talking a little bit before the show, though, and we've talked about it on air before, but every market's got its difficulties.
Yeah.
I mean, the difficulty now is, you're writing 10, 15 offers for a client before you get one, which is frustrating for your client, frustrating for you. back in 2006, 2007, we had 104 listings in July of 06, and 6 sold.
Yeah.
And so, so then
Yeah.
so then you are
That was the reaction, Steve.
yes.
That was perfect.
That's
We may have to zoom in on that.
Yeah.
I should get that feature with our Facebook Live to zoom in. Scott speaks, comment.
So, so the difference then was, you're literally, getting one showing every 45 days. So you're
On sellers are upset.
they're
so upset. Why
screaming
can't
at
you sell my house?
Exactly. Exactly.
I've hired you, Wolverine. You're coming out here doing an open house every freaking weekend.
No
You
one's
can't
coming.
sell
No
this
one,
thing.
and no one's coming to it.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a showing in 3 weeks. What are you? So the point is, that was a very frustrating market as well. Every market's got its difficult.
Right. Part of it is, again, how you respond to it, how you rise to the challenge. That's one of the reasons, again, we brought on today Steve Della Roseby, awesome agent with Remax Advantage Plus, the Walgrave Real Estate Group, the Minnesota real estate team. Last year, Steve did an absolute pile of business. We do, as I mentioned before, kind of a fun top producers trip for agents on the team who are kind of the best of the best, who sell the most, help the most clients. Steve made the trip last year. And again, you're working with just a lot of clients, doing an awesome job in a tough market. Like we said, Steve, what do you think? What's driving you to kind of getting so many deals done for your customers?
I think I enjoy working hard. I've worked hard all my career, and to me, it's a big career change 3-4 years ago, but it hasn't changed my work hard mentality. I find it very rewarding. I really enjoy the idea that I'm helping somebody, whether it's buying or selling, with one of their biggest investment decisions and transactions in their lifetime. And so I find it very rewarding. I really tend to bond with my clients. I especially my buyers. You spend a lot of time with them now,
Right?
And they wind up. Most of them wind up becoming what I would consider friends, and then all of a sudden we get the deal closed and done, and I miss them.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's just something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, we just had a comment here. Thomas on Facebook Live says, "Great show. He's had no water since the home was built, and no water in his home since the home was built in 1999." What do you think of that?
Well, that's not uncommon. Well, some homes that are, if they're built right, they're waterproofed properly, and there's codes now. You have to tar it and membrane it, and there's exterior drain tile, and making sure that people don't have these problems. So newer homes are less problematic for sure.
Well, and it's amazing what some simple solutions can do, like just making sure it's graded properly on the outside of the wall, so the water flows away. If you've got gutters that are dumping right there next to the foundation, put an extension on them, just getting the water away from the house.
Right. Steve, buyer, seller wise, any good tips or strategies or thoughts to share for folks as we are in this 2022 market?
I being an old engineer, I'm still a data guy, right? We used to say, in God we trust, all others provide data. and so I did a couple of things, kind of thinking about this show.
Yeah.
I pulled the data on the last 5,000 transactions in the Twin Cities market.
Nice.
And in general, verifying what I kind of figured was true. Where is that break point where all of a sudden you're probably not dealing with mass bidding, mass buyer offers and whatnot? 0 to 3 days on the market. The average across single family homes, all Twin City, is about 106% of list price. When you get to 15, and it trickles down from there, but 15 days was the break point where all of a sudden you're looking at 100% or less, which to me means you're back into that situation where you might be the only one providing that offer at that time. So that's a strategy I think to look at, is stop trying to pounce on the ones that are, especially if you're trying to shop right at the top of your range and it's going to sell for more. Stop trying to pounce on the ones that have been on the market 0 days, which are the shiny, flashy thing that everybody wants to go and look at. Look for something that's maybe been on the market for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little under your price range so that you've got some money that you can hopefully afford to update it to what you want it to be.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've found is an opportunity is, if you can get outside the second ring of the suburbs and get a little further out, I think there's better value and less competition.
Have you?
Both those points are great advice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and what kind of struck me as you were going through those numbers is 15 days on the market is not a lot of time on the market, but in this market, it might as well be 1,000 days, because once you get to that point, people are like, "What in the world is wrong with this house?" And so when we always talk about how do you position yourself in this market, it's just to price your home just a little bit below what it's actually worth.
Absolutely.
And then you get to that 106% of your list price.
Yep.
If you try to steal a number, even in this market, you will sit. And if you sit in this market,
then there's something wrong with it.
You got a problem. You
Yep.
got a problem.
Or the perception.
That's
There's
right.
something wrong with it.
That's
If it hasn't sold in a week or a few days,
Something's up.
something's up.
Yeah.
So you said this was the last 5,000 sales you looked at,
Correct.
data wise.
Yep.
Anything else from that data that kind of popped out to you or was interesting to you?
There probably will be. I pulled it at about 6:30 this morning. So
Hey,
So-
that's all right. That's all right. That's great. Like you said, Steve, really good, two very good points. We're seeing that as well as you get a little further out from the Twin Cities. Perhaps you can, get a little more home, a little more deal. And with, again, the state of the world, they came out with the reduced masking now. And I think about companies, and are people going to be going back into work? Are they not going to be going into work? Are people going to be able to home office and live 2 hours out of the Twin Cities? I don't know. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I mean, well, I think companies have gotten settled into the work at home thing. I don't think we're ever going to go back to a normal, everybody goes to work every day. They've figured out that they don't have to hold 10,000 square feet of office space. And, the savings that is for a company, and they've gotten so many mechanisms in place that make people productive. And I hate the work at home thing. I mean, I believe that people are not as productive working at home as they are if they're in the office.
You're very productive at home.
But
he's very productive.
Yeah, but regardless, I don't think we're going back to it.
So my wife does work in the corporate world, and she's worked from home. But I obviously I still know a lot of people in the corporate world because I did that for 28 years.
Yeah.
I think their work life has changed as well, whereas they aren't necessarily as productive from 8 to 5 as they used to be, but they're never fully unplugged anymore either, right? They're maybe checking an email at 9:00 at night or something like that, but then that frees them up to maybe run an errand during the day or whatever. I think their work life has changed to become kind of a little bit more like ours, where I'm never unplugged, I'm never off ever, which is my choice, right? I work with Jason Walgrave, and Jason is he's got a very strict work-life balance, family time balance, and I haven't necessarily done as good of a job of drawing that boundary yet.
You and me both. That's why I'm divorced twice.
But I think your work from home corporate people, they're now on the clock pretty much all the time or more so. And yet, they can, that's how they make up for maybe not being quite as productive as being in the office.
Sorry.
I was just going to say one last thing is I think there's also a lot less water cooler talk, right? So when they're working at home in an individual environment, if it's stuff they can be doing on their own, maybe they focus a little bit better because there isn't all the traffic going around through the office and people stopping in to say hi. And so it's a different world for them.
Good thoughts and commentary. We're at the 3/4 break of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. I got to give a shout out to Laura and Sandy Marquardt, two awesome agents on the Minnesota Real Estate team, Remax Advantage Plus. They have an open house here today from 12 to 2, and this one is downtown. It's in the Bridgewater Lofts. It's 215 10th Avenue South, Unit 718 in Minneapolis. The property is listed for $735,000. It's almost 1,800 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And again, this open house is today again, from 12 to 2 for this particular listing in the Bridgewater. And again, when you look at the pictures, it's got awesome views of the skyline of Gold Medal Park. It's got 135 square foot patio, tile floor, gas hookup for grilling, great outdoor space. A ton of updates that Sandy and Laura talk about as well. And so definitely check that one out. They're going to be out there today from 12 until 2. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Condos downtown. What do you think about that? Any sales? Steve, you guys had any sales downtown, Scott?
Well,
you're living downtown.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's probably the only deal that's left in the cities is condos.
Right.
Yeah, I mean they've been depressed, and I mean they'll sit for pull them. They'll sit for 50 days, 100 days, 200 days. Yeah. So
that one that I got the backup deal on about a month or a month and a half ago. Actually, we signed it on Christmas Eve, so I was even working on Christmas Eve. That was a condo down off 33rd, 34th Ave in Bloomington, down by the train, by the light rail line down there. Yeah. And yeah, there's handful of condos in that building that have been for sale for a long time.
Yeah, I had again another question come in, and we appreciate the questions. Whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, trying something new here today to hit some of the different social media channels. Had another question come in. This one again is from Steve Grown with Standard Water about water in the basement. It sounds like it's kind of a longer question here, but basically the question is it sounds like it's what percent of Minnesota homes have this issue? As I kind of read through the question, look at it, but water in the basement. I mean, what do you think?
Well, it's an intuitive answer. I don't have the data exactly. I think there's several factors. One would be age of home. You get into St. Paul and it's a limestone foundation, and you have hydrostatic water coming up through the floor. Whole different game. Homes that tended to be black wall versus poured wall, and then you look at the type of ground. Does it allow drainage or not? And so I think there's a lot of factors in that. I would say, typically if we're in the core, the belt loop.
Yeah.
I would say probably 2/3 of them have needed or have had work done, something like that.
Wow, that's high.
That's a lot.
That's way higher than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I say work done, it might be, spot work, and work done could be that they had wire coming in, but it was, they need to regrade.
Yeah. Scott's had some work done. No response there. Jeez. I just worked done.
That was a very general.
This is a totally off real estate deal, but so my daughter Jordan works for a company named Allergan, sells Botox, and so she can get me Botox free. So she's like, Dad, go see my gal in there's an office we have in Burnsville, and she'll set you up with whatever you want. So I go over there and she puts me in the chair and she's like, yeah, I can't help you. She said, but here's a card to a plastic surgeon in Woodbury. It is a 100% true story.
What were you trying to have done?
Well, so I've got
too many wrinkles.
Yes,
Can't help you.
Yeah, no, and Jordan's always like, well, yeah, Dad, because Botox isn't an eraser. It doesn't erase your wrinkles. So once they're there, Botox doesn't help it. Botox helps them never be there. Oh. So if you do it consistently, like she's 26.
Here we go, guys.
All the time.
We're going back live on air. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Scott's sharing his fun stories of Steve was commenting about having work done. And so I just said that Scott has had some work done. And yeah, that's good though, Scott. I mean, that's all right,
Yeah, there's no more work to be done. Like I was telling these guys off air, my daughter works for a big company that sells Botox, sent me to her gal in Burnsville, and she looked at me and she's like, yeah, can't help you. She's like, but here's a card to a plastic surgeon in Woodbury.
We still love you, Scott. We still love you regardless. Hey, I did have one other listing I wanted to touch on. This one also is Sue Marty has this one over in St. Paul, 269.9. It's a coming soon property, Steve. It is a 3-bed, 3-bath, almost 2,000 square feet. And it's a newer build, spacious, open concept. It's on a quieter street, hardwood floors on the main floor, new carpet, windows, large bedrooms, newer appliances, a quick close is possible. This is 36 Winnipeg Avenue East. 36 Winnipeg Avenue East for $269.9. That is coming on the market March 6th. So that's coming up. Another great price point, guys. That one's probably going to move pretty quick.
I would think.
Yeah.
Can I throw another one on top there?
Let's do it.
So Jason's got one that goes active this weekend down in Savage. It's beautiful. It's in Dufferin Park. If anybody knows where Dufferin Park is, a very
nice,
very popular neighborhood for families with kids, close to the schools, all that. But he's got one on Meadowwood Drive going active for $4.25, 3-bed, 3-bath, 3-car, built in 95, about 2,100 square feet, updated kitchen, granite, stainless, private master baths with a separate shower and tub. Walkout basement, screened in deck to a beautiful, gorgeous wooded lot. So another one that's probably going to go really fast, but if anybody wants to see it, I'd be happy to show it.
Very nice. Very nice. In that spirit, before we forget, Steve, again, Steve, helping a lot of people last year, made our top producer trip through his hard work, his dedication. You can hear best way for people to connect with you if they're interested in sitting down with you or chatting about buying or selling.
Sure. My email is steve@walgrave, WALGRAVE.com. And either that or call or text 612-237-3364.
One more time.
612-237-3364.
Yeah, nice work. Very nice work. Steve Delarosby, awesome agent. And we had a question. It says, I apologize. I'm coming in late. Did you talk about walkthrough consultations? Specifically, can sellers or their real estate agents prevent inspectors from attending a showing with the buyer? Thank you, Chris. Can sellers prevent this from happening?
It's a great question. I mean, sellers control who goes into their home.
Yeah.
And so if they put on showing notifications, I have not run into this before. My gut would be if you ran into a request from the seller that said only agents and their buyers can go in, we don't want inspectors going through our house. I think they could outline that and it'd have to be respected.
It sounds like a bit of a red flag.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think?
Well, it's on both sides of it. So it's an activity by buyers right now, a strategy to be able to write a non-contingent, no inspection offer with a little bit of comfort that they've at least had somebody knowledgeable walk through on it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, with particularly with COVID and stuff, a lot of times I've seen that in listings, agent and decision makers only.
That's right.
Yeah, very interesting. I was talking to Joe Mack, agent on the team before the show. And, I think what I was going to mention is regarding, in homes, in properties, and recording conversations. Now, with everybody with cameras and all these, it made me think about, again, can you ask people who can come in the home? You can't record people, during the showings. It seems very obvious, but that's that inspector question is a good one. That is a really good one. And I agree. I think you can say, look, this is who's allowed to come in, even if it's going to be non-invasive type of inspecting. Even if you look, I'm not going to touch anything at all. I'm just there with my knowledge and expertise to assist the buyer.
Yeah, because then you can run into things like, just weird things like you follow up with, or the agent calls and says, well, we were going to write an offer, but you might not be aware of this, but this is shot. Now, so then what? Your sellers, do they have a disclosure issue at that point? Since an inspector actually told them it was wrong. And so, I could understand it, especially in this market where they don't have to let an inspector in.
Sure.
And it's still going to sell.
Sure. What do you think about that, Steve? Is the non-real estate agent in the room?
I just think it sounds like a red flag. Sounds like you're hiding something. It just doesn't feel right. If they can get away with it, and quite frankly, I don't think they need it. Just bring them in.
No.
I don't. There's so many offers.
Yeah.
The realtor that called me this week, she was talking about buying this home, representing, and I said, "What? There's a home for sale?
Yeah, exactly.
You found one?
You got one? Yeah, it is. It's an interesting time. Again, that first segment we shared, this is the lowest number of active properties for sale in the Twin Cities in the history of us doing the show, almost 20 years. I had a nice meeting this week with an agent on our team, David Babcock. David asked me, and I'll ask you guys, what inventory level do you think we're going to get to this year? What is that number we're going to see on the high end? And Scott, I'll ask you first.
I think that we will probably get consistent with what we're at right now, which is about 10-12% below last year. So I think in June we will probably get to 6,000 homes, and by August we will probably be at 7,500 homes.
Yeah, what do you think, Steve?
I think that's probably accurate, but my question actually to the expert here is why? Why is inventory so low?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's the age that is the age old question.
Is it lack of senior housing? Is it is it slowed down progress on new developments? Is it?
Well, you'd have to go back a couple of years where we had the entry level price point going crazy. And then we had the mid-range price point that people were still under from the crash. And so they were pricing over what it was worth. And so you had things kind of moving in that 300 range and below, but anybody at 5, 6, 7, they weren't selling. And so our inventory started to drop during that point because people just, they weren't excited about what they were buying into, so they went to new construction. I think this year the reason it's so low is builders can't build like they did last year. I mean, they can only build a couple houses a month because they can't get windows, they can't get appliances, they can't get people to work. And so when you throw on top of that the new construction, which was where people were going to because that's where they could buy, and now they only they can only go to a couple houses a month instead of 10 or 15. I think that's it. But again, like last year, we're going to hit a wall. We're climbing and 30 offers and 40 offers, the same as last year. And then in August, people are like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Steve Groen, Standard Water. Nice work, young man.
Thank you.
Best way for people to reach you.
Standardwire.com.
Yeah, fellow agents too. If you're listening, watching, plug in. Great resource to have, great partner to have. Thank you. We appreciate you, Steve. And Steve Della Roseby, awesome job, bud.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
We like the data guy. We may have to bring him back here. We need more of that, don't we, Scott?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great job, bud. Great job. Scott, nice work, buddy.
I can't talk. It's been a long show. Thank you.
It's been a long show.
Because of the bow tie.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, it's been a fun show. We do appreciate you listening. We're here every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're here for your questions, comments, thoughts, mnrealestateshow.com. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, we'd be honored to work with you and help you wherever you are in Minnesota. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody. Take care. Thanks for joining us on social media. It was kind of our debut performance on a couple of the different social media platforms. So thank you for tuning in. So many of you who watched the whole show. Great job, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, great job. We'll be back next week as well. If you ever have a topic you'd like us to discuss, please don't hesitate to share that too. So take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.